my Italian food fanatics. Today we're going to make a wonderful pasta dish that comes to us from southern Italy. It's really super Italian. I don't want to talk too much about it, but it is penne in a eggplant and tomato sauce. But before we go into the kitchen, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the bell button so you know when I release a video. Share with your friends. Sharing is caring. And leave a comment if you have a moment to do so. This is a wonderful dish. It comes to us from southern Italy. We're going to use some eggplant. We're going to use some onion. We're going to use some mushrooms, some tomatoes, some basil, some oregano. We're going to deal with the garlic in the way that the Italians really do by making it golden and then taking it out. And then, of course, our penne. Wait until you see this. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the kitchen and cook this wonderful pasta dish, which happens to be vegetarian and with a little change can be vegan. Okay, come on, let's go. All right, let's get started. First, we're going to need a little bit of California 100% extra virgin olive oil. We're going to need eggplants. Obviously, it's eggplant and tomato, and so that also means that we're going to need some 100% California organic tomatoes. These are Japanese eggplants. We'll also use some white button mushrooms. Along with that, we use a little oregano. We use a little bit of basil and some white wine, as well as some garlic. So let me get all of this prepped. The eggplant needs to be cut into about 1/2-inch dice. We need to hand crush these tomatoes. I need to wash and slice the mushrooms and also peel the garlic. And we're going to finish everything off with a little bit of pecorino romano in the southern Italian tradition. So let me take care of all this and then we'll be back. All right, as mentioned, we're back. I've hand crushed the tomatoes. I've washed and sliced the mushrooms, and I've cut the eggplant into about 1/2-inch pieces, and we have left these whole, these garlic cloves, but we've peeled them. Now it's time to go onto the stove. All right, we have our pan on the heat, and I'm adding a little bit of olive oil in here. We're going to let that come up to temperature. It's on a medium heat right now. We're going to add in our garlic cloves, and we're going to cook these until they're brown, and then we'll remove them. All right, as you can see, our garlic is starting to brown a little bit. It's getting almost golden, and in a couple of seconds, we're going to remove that because in the Italian way, the garlic has done its job. It flavors the oil, so this leaves the flavor of the garlic not in the forefront, but rather in the background. So these have to come out before they burn. And next, we're going to put in our onions. Followed by our eggplant and our mushrooms. And we're going to cook this for about 15 minutes until these become very, very soft. And of course, they're going to give up their water, not only the eggplant, but also the mushrooms. In fact, we're going to take this moment to add a little bit of salt to the program. What this does is it draws out the moisture and concentrates the flavors. So I'll come back intermittently throughout our cooking process here to show you how we're progressing. We don't want these to necessarily brown. We want to get them very, very soft and slightly colored. Slightly brown, and that's about it. All right? We don't want copious amounts of color on here. So I'll be back. All right, as you can see, we are in just a couple, 3 minutes, actually a little bit longer, and you can see how these vegetables are starting to break down. The water is being released from them, and they're beginning to get smaller and soft and concentrating their flavors. I'll bring you back when we're a little bit further along. Okay, we're about 10 minutes in, and you can see how the vegetables have broken down, and the pan is beginning to sizzle again, meaning the water is out and the oil is now frying the vegetables, and that's exactly what we want. We want them to just slightly brown. So I'll be back in a few more minutes and we'll add our other ingredients. All right, you can see how our vegetables have cooked down and they're just starting to brown, which is exactly what we want. Now we want to arrest the cooking, and we do that by deglazing and adding our wine. As this comes to temperature, we're going to take the spoon and we're going to scrape up any little bits that may be on the bottom of the pan, because those bits mean flavor. We'll let this reduce down and then we'll add our tomatoes. I'll be back. All right, our wine has reduced down. As you can see, the alcohol is pretty much cooked out. We'll now add our tomato product. And we're going to bring this up to a simmer, or up to a boil, pardon me. And then we're going to turn it down and we're going to let it simmer and let the flavors blend for about 15 minutes. Look at that, how sweet it is. In the meantime, I'm going to add a little bit more salt, and that is just basically enough to flavor or season the tomatoes that we just put in. That should do it, because remember, we're going to add pasta in a little while, and that pasta is also going to have salt in the water, so we don't want to overdo it, but I don't think we did. We'll add a little bit of cracked black pepper. Not too much, and that's about enough. And also remember, we're going to add pecorino romano, and so we want to be cognizant of the amount of salt we're using. All right, we're going to let this come up to a simmer. It already is. You can see it's somewhat like a volcano, like a lava here. We'll turn it down, put it on the back burner, and let it simmer away for about 15 minutes. I'll be back. All right, as you can see, I've put this on the back burner with a very, very light flame. It's slowly simmering away, which is exactly what we want. I've also gone ahead and put a pot of water on to boil our pasta. I'm not going to make an entire pound of pasta because this is a sauce or a condimenti that I'm going to just serve myself a little bit out of, and then this will be saved for tomorrow when I'm having some guests. Now, I put 4 cups of water inside of the sauce pot. When that comes to a boil, I add 2 teaspoons of regular table salt, and that does it. That's what we're going to boil our penne in. You'll see when we come to that juncture in the video. All right, our water is boiling. Now it's time to add our penne. It's regular Di Cecco, which is a very good brand. We'll mix it up just a little bit to ensure that in the first few seconds of cooking that the pasta doesn't stick. As long as the outside layer of starch gels, our pasta will not stick. Also, the reason to use a smaller amount of water is because now the water comes back to a boil a lot faster. That doesn't necessarily mean that we have to cook the pasta at a rolling boil, but when it comes back to a boil, that's even better. Look, it's already there. If we would have had a large pot, this would have taken a lot longer to come back to a boil. So now we'll let this cook for about 10 minutes till it's al dente, and And then we will add our oregano and our basil into our sauce and serve it up. See you in a bit. Okay, as you can see, this has been slowly bubbling away. I've stirred it a few times over the last 15 to 20 minutes. We're now going to add in our oregano, just a little bit. That's about right. And we'll also add in our basil. Just got it washed there. Add in a little bit more to give it that fresh flavor. And our pasta is almost ready. I'm going to put this now in a saucepan and get it ready to be mixed in with the pasta. A portion of it, not all of it. This is just for me so that we can taste and see if this is any good. All right, our penne is just underdone. We're going to put some of this sauce here in the saute pan. We're going to add in our pasta. And we have water reserved from the pasta here, of course, if we need it to extend the sauce a little bit. Of course, there will be residual water that's trapped inside of the pasta, so we may not need to add any water. Let me get the last bit of the penne in there. Perfect. All right, we'll finish this in here. And we'll taste the doneness of the pasta. It still needs about 30 seconds. That is good. Perfectly seasoned. All right, time to dish it up. All right, my Italian food fanatics, you saw me dish it up. Now it's time to taste and see if our penne with eggplant and tomato sauce is any good. Of course, we put that pecorino romano on there. And those are tomatoes, California, organic tomatoes, a little bit of basil, some oregano. The way that we did the garlic was totally Italian. I love eggplant. I love eggplant. I love mushrooms. I love tomatoes. I love onions. I love olive oil. I love pasta. I love pecorino. Not too much pecorino, just a little bit. I love Parmesan a lot more, but this is a very southern Italian dish, and so consequently, we're going to put that pecorino on there. The pasta's perfectly cooked. Those mushrooms still have some integrity to them, so there's a little bit of crunch. There's the flavor of everything perfectly blended together. There's a brightness, a little bit of the basil in there. There's the softness of the eggplant. This is really, really good. I mean, and it's also vegetarian. And if you used a different type of cheese, this is a vegan dish, essentially. So with a tiny change, it can be vegan. It's vegetarian as it is. It can be served as a meal or as obviously a pasta course, however you wish. Oh, before I finish this bowl and leave you, please thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell button. Share with your friends. Remember, sharing is caring, and leave a comment if you have a couple of seconds to do so. And if you've made something that I've made on the channel or that I've inspired you to make, contact me on social media at Chef Argenti. Send me your name and the photograph of the dish, and I will feature you on a future episode of Italian Food Fanatics. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a great day. I wish you nothing but good health, happiness, and prosperity. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.